going to go on to DJ mixing right now.
Long has gone the days when DJs were idiotic pop pickers with huge record collections. They had nothing better to do on a Saturday night than entertain people with records such as Agadoo at the local disco. Things have changed. DJs are highly paid, jet-setting megastars who have huge followings from every angle of the dance music spectrum. The styles of DJing ranges from the manic chorus line scratches of hip-hop DJ Terminator X, the hectic beat-chopping jungle sounds of DJ Randall, or the slow melodic mixes that a house DJ, Don Digweed, would incorporate into his set.
The techno has a much heavier stomping bass line, just sort of jump up and down to stuff, and it's got more of an electronic noise for the melody. It can go to the extreme of the bleepy stuff, and the gabba stuff is very bleepy, very fast, and the bass line is very heavy. Started off, the hardcore was mainly of one type, hadn't split then. There was elements of jungle in it, there was elements of piano tunes in there, and there was even some elements of some techno. Since then, hardcore has branched out and the jungle has become a lot bigger.
As with all types of music, the advanced sounds of modern-day dance had to come from an original source. No one can pinpoint any particular event, date or person as the birth of mixing as we know it today. Legend has it that DJing dance music started in the early 70s at illegal warehouse parties in the darkest depths of Chicago. The music varied from chunks of funk and disco rhythms and later progressed into high energy. It was a way for young, funky groovers to listen to underground dance music. DJs such as Richie Fingers and Frankie Knuckles came up with the concept of creating music by playing records back to back, creating builds and highs in the music by mixing the beats. This is still looked upon as a very valid part of a modern DJ's set. The records being played need to connect in such a way that the DJ is actually making music that uplifts you, takes you on a journey, like a music conductor guiding an orchestra. The music slowly progressed as musical technology advanced. Electric beats and rhythms were added using the samples and breaks from disco. House music was born.
The atmosphere at house clubs seems to me so much nicer. There's none of the bad boy attitude, none of the trying to skank everyone, everyone's keeping themselves to themselves. It's more like the old days where everyone's having a good time, no one minds if you go up and speak to them and that. Just have a chat, it's a good laugh. I think any music that is happy, promotes a happy vibe and makes everyone have good times. As far as I'm concerned, good music.
There are three main techniques involved in mixing. In order to get the records to mix together, you have to get them in time. Queuing involves listening to one record through the headphones, releasing it in time with the music, trying to get it in time with the first. In order to cue records, it is necessary to find the beginning of the beat and then move records back and forth in rhythm. You then release the record in time with the beat. Not all the records are the same speed. The decks are able to change speed by plus and minus 8% of a revolution. Pitch allows DJ greater control of the speed in order to get the beats at the same time, so the records mould together. It may be necessary to repeat cueing a record a number of times while you test the speeds of the record through the headphones. Once the records are in time, the mix can take place. The crossfade is basically a switch between the decks. It allows you to cut, mix and drop other samples, beats and sounds from the other record. The crossfade allows the creative DJ to change and improve the records he plays.
As house music became bigger and better, DJs were incorporating the mixing skills that had developed over the years into creating brilliant and uplifting sets of music that moved the crowd. In the UK, innovative young DJs started to create a new sound based loosely on the US house music. This revolutionary music was going to change the lives of millions and create the foundations for the new music of the 90s. The new music was called acid. It incorporated a string of beats and electronically generated noises. It started totally underground with DJs making their own records and distributing them through closed distribution networks. The only places you could hear these tracks were at the warehouse parties held in the late 80s. Meeting points and convoys could be set up so the location of the parties were kept secret to the last minute. The development of this music continued, and so did its popularity, but by the time the tabloid newspapers heralded the new summer of love early in the 1990s, the acid music had changed into hardcore. This took the hip-hop breakbeats and speeded them up, adding the electronic acid sound with strange samples, and it was truly this music that changed the lives of the British youth. With the growth of this music, the fame of the DJ also developed. These boffins were transported to stardom within the scene almost overnight.
And that's when sort of like the mixing really got exciting because there was more beats coming in, and that's what really fired it off, the mixing side of things for me, because after all anyone can play one record after another, it's not hard really. The beats are brilliant. I'm a percussionist, I listen to the beats, those beats are bad, you cannot touch the jungle beat, they're just everything you want. If you enjoy mixing and you want to challenge, you go to jungle.
The underground nature of the music could not remain intact for long. Soon the demand for the music demanded that there be a response from the established music industry. Hardcore soon entered the charts. For some, this singled the end for the scene, but it brought it out to the attention of the public, and soon it developed into the rave song.
Temperature time. No, I don't think that's quite where I'm going to put it. Roll over. These things, we have to do these things in hospitals. That's it. We'll just leave it there for a few seconds. We're going to be going over to Joanne Tunnicliffe with the news and weather with Robin very shortly.
Solid rocket ignition and liftoff. Dirigirmos-nos a esta marcha.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Genesis Lunchtime News. I'm Jo Tunnicliffe. Up to 1 million health workers will step up their campaign for more pay today with demonstrations across the country. They claim the 1% pay rise offered is the equivalent of a snack for a daily nurse. They've also had warning that any pay rise will be paid for by redundancies.
Ambulancemen, nurses, midwives and clerical staff are all joining forces in the dispute over pay. Many say morale in the NHS is at an all-time low and industrial action the only option left.
We're just so fed up. We just feel we've got nothing to lose anymore, really.
We're sort of up all night, and you don't have to work the next day, you know, like a normal day, and you're exhausted. And then you think about how much money you're getting for it, and Well, it's quite frankly not enough.
We don't really want to strike. I mean, that's the last resort, but I think a lot of us are actually feeling so demoralised, we feel we have no choice.
Staff are demanding a 3% pay increase instead of the 1% offered. They put little trust in the government's claim they can negotiate an extra 2% at local level.
A child in America has appeared to have recovered from the AIDS virus. Doctors say that tests proved beyond doubt that the 5-year-old boy was infected for at least 4 weeks, for the first 2 months of his life.
When the child, who can only be identified as baby Paul, was born at Los Angeles University of California Medical Center 5 years ago, staff gave him little chance of survival. His mother was HIV positive. He too tested for the infection within 3 weeks. But successive blood analysis showed him switching from positive to negative and back again, until at 1 year old he was clear of the infection and has remained so ever since.
It's really fascinating that we would find this sort of amazing result, sort of almost like a miracle, in a baby. But because babies tend to be more susceptible and more immature to infection. But I think this sort of broke a lot of molds for what we think about HIV. HIV is not thought of something like the flu, where it comes and then it goes. This one comes, the virus, and stays.
DNA tissue matching has ruled out any mixing up of blood samples from another patient. Researchers say there's plenty of evidence of people coming into contact with the HIV infection without developing the condition. But this is the only case of a patient who's tested positive and then become clear. Doctors believe they may be dealing with a weak or defective form of the virus. Baby Paul's progress will be intensively monitored as researchers try to establish whether his recovery is a mystifying fluke or really represents a major breakthrough on the way to developing an AIDS vaccine.
The Pope has intensified his crusade against abortion and euthanasia in his latest encyclical due to be published today. Pope John Paul II said that a democracy that allows a culture of death is heading towards totalitarianism. The document compares the Church's defence of the unborn with its defence of exploited workers of over a century ago.
The Pope describes abortion and euthanasia as crimes against humanity and says no laws can justify taking human life. He says the legalization of abortion and the growing demands for euthanasia are a backward step and issues a rallying call to the world's 960 million Catholics, saying it's the duty of the Church to raise its voice up high. The statement from the Pontiff is the most uncompromising for 30 years, but the Pope has stopped short of putting a papal stamp of infallibility for fear of further alienating some of the more liberal wing of the Catholic Church in the West.
Crucial talks began in Brussels this morning regarding possible trade sanctions against Canada. Spain is hoping that this will stop the Canadians from arresting their trawlers in disputed fishing grounds. But Britain is expected to block such moves, increasing tension between EU partners. This morning, Canada has again accused a Spanish trawler of provocation by entering the disputed fishing ground off Newfoundland.
The intrusion of a Spanish trawler has put Canadian naval ships patrolling the Grand Banks fishing ground back on high alert. It's in these seas that one boat was seized and the nets of another cut. For now, Canadian Coast Guards have settled for a standoff.
The Spaniards are a really strange bunch. It seems an awfully long way to come for a fish finger. Fish cakes I can understand, but not fish fingers.
Talks in Brussels are beginning to get down to detail. Discussions are centred on enforcement and control measures.
Do they really use all that netting just to catch one fish finger? Oh no, plenty of dolphin too.
The row could yet move elsewhere. The International Court of Justice at The Hague has confirmed that Spain has asked for a ruling that Canada cannot apply its laws on the high seas.
And now for the sport. England were in action last night after a disappointing performance against Uruguay at Wembley. England failed to impress in a goalless draw against the South Americans, which suggests that Terry Venables needs time to get the squad ready in time for the European Championship.
It was, yes, we can play better, but I also think there were some good performances. I thought the two centre-halves were outstanding, and Darren and Anderson play well. And yet, really, they looked a bit shaky on set pieces. Our deliveries there weren't as good as we would have liked. We're a bit disappointed in that.
By the end, plenty of youngsters out on the park. Is that the most encouraging thing for you from tonight?
Well, I was intending to try and get the boys on there without forcing it completely. And they feel happy about that. They've been blooded, they've been in, and I thought they contributed very well in the second half.
Andy Cole within a whisker of scoring.
Yeah.
That would have been some story, wouldn't it?
It's a shame. I mean, it was a terrific header back, Tony, and that's what he needed, that's what we needed, but it wasn't to be tonight.
Well, it's June before your next game at the moment. What happens now?
Well, I wait. We've got to get together during that time, which is just for a couple of days, and then hopefully that the tournament is going to be as exciting as it looks like it will be with the countries that are involved.
Other international results last night were Russia 0, Scotland 0, Bulgaria 3, Wales 1, Republic of Ireland 1, Northern Ireland 1. After the commercials, Robin Johansson will bring you a weather update. Thank you.
Got no money? Grant run out? No job? Do the smart thing and get yourself a student loan. Just imagine what you can have. A tropical holiday! The car you've always wanted, the car of your dreams. Or loads of late-night wild parties. But only if you get a student loan. Until then, though...
Tired of missing that last bus home? Then I may have the solution for you. Why not treat yourself to the health and fitness gym? You may still miss the last bus home, but at least you can run home.
Hello. After a rather unsettled start to the week with unexpected snow on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday finally seems to have set the course for some brighter and finer weather. After a cold start to the day, southern England and Wales will warm up and it will become lovely and mild in the afternoon. Ideal weather for preparing those hanging baskets. Northern Ireland and Scotland should also have some milder weather than what they've been expecting recently, and it will remain cloudy for most of the day. With this area of high pressure building up in the south, we should expect little or no wind. And accompanying this high pressure is a warm front which will push those temperatures right up into about 14 degrees in the south and 9 or 10 degrees in the north. And those mild conditions will remain with us tomorrow. However, most of England will cloud over by the afternoon and there should be scattered showers in the south and central areas. Northern Scotland should also have some showers too. But this wind should pick up too, which means we're in for a blustery weekend, ideal for all you kite flyers. Now, on to the rest of Europe, and rather than talk about Portugal and Spain, I'd like to focus your attention on this occluded front. Now, this is very interesting because for the first time in 10 years, it will be possible to experience a drastic change in weather just by walking over the border. From experiencing rain and snow in France, you'll be able to walk across the border and there you'll be greeted with pleasant sunshine and warmth. Now, that's all from me. Goodbye. Goodbye.